In this video, we're going to talk about 5 product questions that you need to ask yourself before you start selling on Shopify. In other words, these are 5 questions that most people do not ask that if you want to be successful on Shopify, you really should be asking yourself.
So first, is there a demand for your product? That's the first question you need to be asking, right? Because, we've seen so many times people want to sell trending products.
Yes.
And it's like, hang on a minute, you're selling a trending product. Who told you that it's trendy?
Yeah.
And how long?
I've seen it.
I've seen it, yeah.
Or this website or this app or this tool is telling me it's a trending product right now.
And then how long is the demand going to last?
Yeah.
Like in one of the things that we learned about e-commerce and online marketing is model what works, model what works, model what works,
Yes.
Because if you try to reinvent the wheel thinking that you're special, then you're not going to be...
A thing that we see happen from time to time is that people will open a store with a trending product, they ride the wave, and then that might last 3 months or 6 months, and then...
Or they might not even be able to break through whilst that product is still trending.
Yeah,
so,
all I wanted to say was that trend finishes and then that store is done. That's it. There's no brand, there's no
nothing,
it's in the ground, it's finished.
So always think about, are my products in demand? How can you check that? You can check that through Google Trends. For example, you can check also what kind of, if those, doesn't have to be the same product, but if similar products are selling on Amazon or on Etsy, you can really start seeing the volumes and the searches. You can start looking at that inside Google Ads Manager as well to see the volumes, just to get an understanding of how big is the market,
yes,
the market size, and also is that a seasonal product or is it evergreen?
Yes.
Ideally, you want to have an evergreen business.
Yes, ideally. Having said that, there are businesses that are very successful that are seasonal in nature.
Yes.
You want to go into it with your eyes open, understanding that, okay, this is a seasonal business.
Yeah, exactly. Question number 2, what else can I sell with this product? Why are we saying this? Because most business owners we meet want to start with one product, and that's great, but always think about your brand as a whole and think about your average order value. Think numbers, right?
What is average order value? For those of us who are new, not us, those of you who are new.
So average order value is essentially what is the total value of the transaction. So on average, yeah. And for most stores, you want to be aiming at a minimum of 100. For some stores, 50 is okay, but you want to be
US dollars here.
US dollars, yeah. But you want to be aiming at a minimum of 100 or around 100, 120. That's kind of...
The reason is that you've got a lot of costs, right? You've got the cost to running your e-commerce store, you've got the cost to acquiring the traffic and the customer coming to your store.
Yeah.
Whether it's a paid ad or a free traffic ad, there's still costs involved in it.
Yes.
And costs of running the platform and all of those different things.
So you want to be making money.
You're making money. If your average order value is too low, it doesn't leave you enough room to actually be making a profit.
We also know statistically from online marketing that people are the most likely to buy something else from you once they're actually made just the purchase just there and then. Why? Because psychologically people want to validate the purchase and they want to validate it with something that complements the purchase. It sounds crazy and counterintuitive. When I first heard this theory, I was like, what? But people really are most prone not just to buy more from you, but also buy more of the same thing.
Yeah,
like for example,
more of the same thing is a great one. I've seen that so many times, so many great examples. Like, get one today for this amazing thing, but if you get 2 today,
or 3 or 4
or
or 5,
depending on what the product is,
yes,
then it's amazing. Like, I saw a really recent,
of course.
Yeah, I saw this lamp being advertised. There's like a special lamp to light up your room in certain colors. And
was it one of those things when you were scrolling on Facebook?
Maybe, yeah. Anyway, they were like, get it now and for X% off some deal, right? Deal of the day, like get it off now. But if you buy 2, it's an even better deal. Or buy 3, it's an even better deal. Buy 4, it's an amazing deal, right? But it's the same product. Like, really, there's no need to have more than one of these things, but they're making it seem like such a great deal.
And then you can put it in every single room. Oh my God, how amazing.
Yes.
So I guess I know what's in mail on the way to us, yeah.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is it's the same thing being sold. Like who would have thought that you could sell 2 or 3
of the same thing?
The same thing in this category as well. So
it's incredible.
Incredible.
It's incredible. So always think about what else can I sell with my product.
Yes.
And you know who is going to be the ideal customer, because you also want to get that person back and to sell them over and over and over and over and over.
Yes, and a good way of doing that is with email marketing. And for that, check out this video right here. Some very powerful things there.
Powerful.
Powerful. Email marketing is the most profitable source on earth. I don't want to go off topic, but check out that video. It's really good.
Okay, great. Question number 3, you have to keep asking is how are you going to be different from your competitors?
Yes.
Honestly,
we've got great customer service.
Yeah, guys.
Don't do that one.
Don't do that one. Like, don't say, oh, we've got great quality at a great price. Please don't say that. And I know some of you who are hearing this for the first time, you're like, what? Why should I say that?
I've got great prices, great quality, and what was the other one?
Customer
service. Yeah.
It's, guys, nobody cares. Also, customer service, remember, that's a surprise delight. That's post-order.
That's a problem that you deal with, or not a problem, like it's something that you manage after you have sales coming through.
Yes.
You don't solve that before the sales coming through.
And unless the customer service is really crap and there are like thousands of complaints everywhere, it's not a decision-making thing for most buyers.
Yeah, and for most new stores, it's not something they can deal with at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And for the customer who's making the purchase, right? So always think about how are you going to make it different from your competitors? How are you going to differently position it? It could be the same products, it could be the same niche, but position it from different angle to really differentiate yourself, so that you're not selling widgets, but you actually are selling premium products, premium experience, and you have a brand around it.
And I won't go into it now, but just at a high level, like one thing is like, hey, features and benefits. This thing does this A, B, C so that you can blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
But what's more powerful is when you connect with your ideal customer on their pains or their dreams. So have you got this problem, problem? Like, yeah, I have that problem. Well, great, we have a solution. Or are you looking to XYZ dream? Yeah, great. Well, we've got, like, that's so much more powerful.
That is going to increase the value perception of your product like there is no tomorrow.
Yeah. So we won't go into it more right now, but just think about it.
Think about it. Number 4, and guys, this one is huge. This one is huge, and we'll tell you firsthand experience that we experienced. Always ask yourself, can I source this profitably? And can I source this at a better rate? And also, can I manufacture this myself perhaps for the future? How am I gonna make this actually making money for myself? We had a bestseller, guys, that we thought we were so smart because we were sourcing it for like less than $3 USD and selling it for about 35. We thought there was like so much margin in between. Guys, at the end, we couldn't even resell the business. We just had to shut it.
Because it wasn't a business, it was a listing.
It was a listing, and we just made like a little bit of money.
Yeah, not much at all.
Not much at all.
This is many years ago.
Yes, so the reason why I'm saying that is because you want to understand few numbers and how can you source it profitably. You want to understand your margin, you want to understand your production fees end to end. You want to understand your product damage rate and who's going to be accountable for that, whether the manufacturer or yourself. You want to understand where you're going to be storing it, if you're going to be paying for that storage. You want to understand clicks. After the product, sourcing product profitably, now you want to understand how many clicks do I need, how much am I willing to pay for a click to come to my store.
Yes.
Returns. Return rate is a real thing, guys. And you know, what's the good percentage of return rate? It should be below, like, ideally you want it to have below 2%.
Yeah, below
right?
2%. Like below 1% is obviously ideal, but below 2% at the most.
But returns are going to happen.
They do happen, yes.
And damage is going to happen in mail on the way to the customer.
Yes.
And although you might say, hey, the customer didn't insure the product, well, guess what? It's just so easy for them to press dispute chargeback.
Yeah.
And you're stuck. And by the way, for those of you guys who haven't opened a store yet, chargebacks are a real thing. Some people forget that they ordered things, and yeah, like with chargebacks, they take the money off your account.
I think you should model 1% as the chargeback rate. Like 1% would be bad. That's quite bad. But allow for that.
Allow for that.
Yeah. One more thing on the supplier is also having single supplier risk. as
Yes,
well.
that's true.
If you're doing everything from one supplier and then that supplier goes out of business, what do you do? So you need to be asking the question, can I
or shuts down or whatever.
Can I source it profitably but also sustainably as
yes,
well?
exactly.
Like on an ongoing basis.
And where can I store it? And then also for those of you guys who already have growing Shopify stores, you want to understand how much is it going to cost me to outsource it to 3PL and packing and shipping.
Just to clarify for our new friends, third-party logistics is when someone else runs the warehouse on your behalf.
Yeah, because ideally, I mean, you haven't started an online store to like be tied down to one location and
have your living room full of
pick, pack, ship your products. No. Like you want somebody else to be doing that.
Yes.
And so you want to understand. By the way, we've got a video about that with Afolabi.
Check that here. Yes, we do have a video on that. Shout out to Afolabi. Yes.
Yes. And so that's what you want to understand. All right. Last but not least, guys, this is a big one.
Yes.
When it comes to selling your product, asking the questions you've got to ask. Like what you must ask is this a product that must have or a nice to have?
Yes. And I alluded to this earlier when I talked about the pains and the dreams.
Yes.
And
if it's a nice to have product, so many people tell me, oh, but I sell fashion. It's a nice to have. Well, make it must have. What do you have to do to make it must have? There are 10 reasons that we learned from the incredible Jim Edwards as to why people buy. And I'm not going to go into details, but it's things like save money, make money, feel more loved, gain praise, increase status, all of these kind of things. So you've got to choose at least 3 reasons why people should want to buy your product, and that's how you turn it from nice to have to must have.
Yes, we've heard so many examples from friends, family, like, oh, I saw this product and I must have it, right?
Yeah.
I just must have that, but that's been created.
Yes, she had to have it.
She had to have it.
That's created by the post, by the ad, by the reel that you've seen.
Yeah.
That's what evokes the, oh my God, I must have it. Everything else goes on the side.
Yes.
And by the way, everybody does this. This is human psychology. Like 99% of the planet is not even aware of that. Everything else is pushed aside. You are like have one-sided focus and you just have that craving and you just go. And you're not gonna stop until you're gonna get that thing, because in your mind, like there is nothing else right now, and that one thing is amplified. And that's what you want your customers to do when they buy a product. And you don't want to do that with your money.
And to do that, you need a marketing strategy.
Yes.
And we've got plenty of videos and training on that. So
yes. But it's a must-have.
Positioning your product the right way, creating the offer the right way, marketing it the right way, driving the traffic the right way.
Yes. But it all starts with this one question.
Yeah.
Starts with this one question. How do I turn my product from nice to have to must have?
Yeah.
Increase the pain points. Ali Berg once said about selling products, like it's gonna sound crazy, guys, but you just take the knife and twist it a little bit more, because you've got to amplify the pain and amplify the benefit, amplify the outcome.
Yes.
That's it, guys. Comment below. Have you asked any of these questions? Have you already started your store? What other questions you think you should be asking that you hadn't asked, that we haven't thought of, that we should be asking? Let's go.
See you in the next video. Bye.